Hello everyone, this is Mumbo here, welcome back, and today we are back on the Hermitcraft server. It is episode 45, and as you can probably tell, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. My nose is completely blocked, my throat is extremely sore, so by the sounds of things, I have managed to get myself a cold, which is pretty out of the ordinary for me, because I'm the sort of person that very rarely gets ill. I have a pretty good immune system, okay? I have confidence in my immune system, but this winter, I've managed to get myself two colds. 2 colds in one winter. That's never really happened before, so maybe I'm just getting older. But yes, it has somewhat put me out of action. Feeling very rough. I'm currently sat here recording with a blanket wrapped around me, which is a little bit strange, and it's getting a little bit warm. But I'm feeling ready to start recording this Hermitcraft episode. I've rested up for a couple of days, and now I'm going to be back in action. But I thought I'd start things off steady, and I thought we would do something just a little bit different in today's Hermitcraft episode. Instead of doing a big progressy project where we work on tons of stuff, what I thought we could do instead is a bit of a cinematic world tour. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hop on my camera account. We're going to do some time-lapsey swoops around. We're going to be doing some really awesome filming, getting loads of cool shots of all the builds that I have done on Hermitcraft, and I'll talk you through them, discuss my ideas behind them, and why I built them. So this will give you a good idea of all of the things that I have built on Hermitcraft over my time on this server, which should be fairly interesting. I'm excited to take a look back, so let's head over to Hermit Hills and we'll start this off. Now I'm going to try my best to do all of this in chronological order so you can get a rough idea of the timeline of all of the builds that I've done. Of course you are going to know all of this if you have watched the whole Hermitcraft series, but if you are new to this place you might want to get a good idea of where I came from, what I did next, etc, etc, etc. Probably not going to be particularly accurate, but I will try my best. So first things first, the first thing that we did when we started up this world was I decided to build a community mineshaft system. Now obviously gathering up resources in the beginning is a pretty big deal, so I wanted to get a decent mine set up. So first things first, I just went straight the way down to y equals 12 I do believe, created a big old mine shaft, and then allowed all of the hermits to just create their own strip mines off the sides of that one, and it worked pretty well. And in the end I actually added an automatic mining system to it with all the hoppers across the bottom that transport all of the items up into the storage area so that you don't have to carry them back and forth, because that can get really frustrating. Next up, with all of the items that I was getting, I was also getting quite a lot of rubbish, so I decided to set up the community rubbish exchange where all of the hermits could come along, drop off all of the items that they don't want, in the hope that another hermit might need those items, pop along to the rubbish exchange and pick them up with no cost, no time spent trying to gather them, and once again, it worked really well. I managed to get a ton of good items that I wanted, a few other hermits did as well, so that was a pretty good build, and I believe it's still in use. There's still some items in there if anyone wants to check that out. But anyway, moving on, we now have the fully automatic chicken farm. This was a really good way to get a large amount of food earlier on in the world. It's a very simple redstone creation, but it produced a huge amount of chicken. Of course, it's fully automatic, so we just left it running. That area is pretty much always loaded, so it produced huge amounts, and everyone was eating chicken for a very, very long time. You're going to start noticing a bit of a reoccurring theme here, because the next build is once again another farm. This time it's the fully automatic sugarcane farm. And this thing is brilliant. It produces a huge amount of sugarcane, really isn't particularly complicated to build. When we take a look at the redstone on the inside, it's just a simple setup with loads of buds. When the sugarcane grows, the pistons extend, pushing it off into the water, and that transports it into the storage silo, which as you can see is filling up very quickly. Moving on, we have a slightly different build here. This is the Mumbo Balloon, and it's brilliant. I love this thing. It's one of my favourite Minecraft builds I've done for a very long time indeed. It came out much better than I expected. On the inside, we have got my small storage system as well as an enchanting setup, and on the top, I do believe we still have the slime block launcher that fires you off the top of the balloon and down into the water, which is always good fun. But that was my home on the inside of Hermit Hills. That is pretty much where I stayed for around about 20 episodes before moving off to the Mumbo Jumbo. Moving slightly over to the other side of town, we have got a little district here that I did a bunch of builds in. First off, you have got the fully automatic melon and pumpkin farms, which once again were designed by Exuma Void, and these things are amazing. They produce so much melon and pumpkin. In fact, they produce so much that they actually caused issues with the server, so Exuma actually put in a little thing that stops it from filling up when the chests are full, which is very, very smart, and it means that we don't get any lag problems. So they work wonderfully, and we have lots of melons and pumpkins on the server. But then moving over, we've got the Redstone Consultancy. That is where hermits can come along with any redstone ideas that they have. I will head over to their place where they want to build it. I'll build it for them and charge them a small, but I would say fair fee And down underneath the Redstone Consultancy, of course, we have the secret Redstone Laboratory, which is where all of the secret redstone builds go down, yet I haven't really done too much down there, and I really need to work on some of that. But anyway, opposite the Redstone Consultancy is where the entrance is to my base, but originally, that is where the Merry Christmas machine was, where it played the Jingle Bell tune, had the flying elves, still one of my favourite redstone builds that I've done in survival mode. But now, I think it is about time that we head over to the Mumbo Jumbo. Of course, the way that we get there isn't just a simple hop through the nether jobby. No, we've decided to do things the hard way, and we've got a 1,000 block long minecart rail called the Great Rail that travels through the landscape, over bridges, and all that sort of stuff. That was a proper cool project to work on, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why, it's just one of those things that I could work on without really thinking about it, and you just make a load of progress. But anyway, now you come down the hill and you can see my base coming out in the distance. The first thing that I'm going to mention is, of course, the mob spawner and everything. So we have got a large scale mob spawner up at the top there. Underneath we've got a layer of hoppers. They transport all the items into some item droppers that drop the items down into water streams, which transport them into sorting systems, which put them into the large scale item storage that you can see down at the bottom there. Right up at the top, at the very top of the slime block elevator that we have going up to y equals 180, we have got an AFK platform, which is where I stand so that all of the mobs spawn in my mob spawner. That was a big project to work on, but I'm glad that I did it because now we have tons upon tons of mob drops. After doing all that stuff, I do believe I left the Mumbo Jumbo and headed out over to the witch farms to help Tango, Impulse and Exuma build the quad witch huts, which once again was a relatively large project, but we managed to get the entire thing done in one episode between all of us, which worked out really well, and that means that Hermitcraft has now got an extremely efficient witch farm that produces loads of glowstone, redstone, bottles, sticks, all that sort of good stuff. But anyway, heading back over to the base now, we then created the downstairs area. That is where we've got all the decoration going around. Then we have the big central section with all the wheat farms. It doesn't really serve any purpose. There's nothing particularly amazing down here. There's no uses for it, but it looks cool, and it's a nice place to have in the center of the base. Then underneath all of the walkways, we have got these storage silos for all of the large items like cobblestone, dirt, and all of those other types of blocks that I always forget. Heading back out onto the top of the Mumbo Jumbo now, we have got the ice spikes biome. It's one of the first things that you notice about my base as you come down the hill towards it, and I am so very glad that we decided to go for that look instead of the standard look. The thing is that we're in the middle of a swamp here, and I was going to create a really nice biome with trees, plants, and everything like that everywhere, but it didn't work because we're in a swamp. It looks horrible, so I decided against it, and we decided to do ice spikes biome, and I'm so glad that we did that because it's a theme that I've carried out throughout my base, and I think it looks really very cool. Then, as one of my most recent projects, we created the snow cave, which was designed to make it look like we'd mined out all of this area with a pickaxe, which I think looks pretty nice. And then in the center, we have got our vortex minecart elevator that takes us right the way down to the strip mine with all the doors and all the lamps and all that fancy stuff. And eventually, I'll probably end up adding an automatic mining system. But anyway, heading slightly back up the minecart rail, you may notice that we have got ourselves a room. Inside that, we have got a nano farm as well as a chicken farm. And soon, with that massive area we have cleared out, we're going to be filling that with our large-scale storage system as well as our full item sorter, and that is where we are going to be holding all of our items. So that is pretty much all of the stuff that I've done on the inside of the Mumbo Jumbo. Of course, on the outside, the most recent addition is the Doc M killing machine. This was a really cool machine to work on, an awesome redstone project, and although it didn't necessarily kill Doc, in fact there was a very funny fail involved, it was a lot of fun to work on this project, and I want to say a big thanks to Doc for coming up with the idea. So I do believe that is pretty much everything that I've worked on in Hermitcraft so far. We are on episode 45, and there is still a ton of stuff that I really want to work on. I mean, seriously, my ideas list is a couple pages long in my ideas book, so I've got plenty of stuff that I really want to do, and honestly, I just currently don't have enough well-being and health and time to do it. But eventually, when things get back in order, when my health comes back, when I have the time to do it, we're going to be cracking on and building some awesome stuff on Hermitcraft. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I'm going to be going to bed now because I'm feeling very, very rough indeed. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.